you guys is, did you think that's going to sign before Monday, which is media day? And it sounds like both of you guys are taking the under in terms of him for then. And it's going to be mainly October 1st, right? So Wednesday. So we're all in agreement that we all believe he'll sign before the end of next week. That we agree on.
Yeah.
Our belief.
Yeah, I think so. They could extend it, but I don't think they want to have it play out any longer than it already has. You know.
Yeah.
And
What I was saying,
Mm-hmm.
like I don't understand the hang up with number of years if you believe that he's a true good solid NBA player. To have somebody for 4 or 5 years, as we know, the value of the contract lessens if it's a flat contract. Let's say it's $25 million per year or $22 million per year. If it's flat, and I'm just making that assumption, why wouldn't you want him for 4 or 5 instead of 2 or 3, even if it's for a tradable asset? Just because the salary cap the belief is generally the salary cap goes up. So what's a $25 million contract now is like a $18, $19, $20 million contract 4 years down the road. So that was one hang up. And the other hang up is I think the agent for Kuminga, based on the conversations that I've heard, he's a little delusional in believing that the market's the same from last season than this season. Like the Jalen Johnson contract at $30 million, the Scotty Barnes at $30 million. That's a different like period. That was before the second apron was really in effect and was affecting teams. So his expectation is like, yeah, if you do 5 years, 30 mil, that sounds a little bit excessive too. And I see those two disconnects a little bit because I see the numbers that he refers to based on the conversations I've heard. Aaron Turner is the agent. I don't think you can compare that now. And I don't think that next year's, they say that there's more teams that are going to have available cash. I don't think there's going to be that many. I think it's a 2-year period. I think this season and next off season is going to be lower. And that's just my opinion, and that there won't be that many teams offering big deals. So hopefully they get this done. It sounds like it's going to be 3 years, right? Like based on like the media reports, it's likely 3 years and the $75 million ish. The hang up is what's the major hang up? The hang up is it a player option or a team option, or if it's a mutual one? So yeah. And when I get on, we only talk about Kuminga. That's what I was going to say.
No, it's fine. I obviously it's an important topic, but I wonder what the interest is, like having all the cap space completely cleared by 27 off season, going into 28 season. Like you can't trade him. I feel like you could just trade him if you want,
But it does feel like with the reports saying they didn't want Malik Monk mainly because of the contract. They didn't want Grayson Allen mainly because of the contract in sign and trade scenarios, that they're really looking. To me, it feels like the Steph Curry and Draymond Green and Jimmy Butler 2-year cliff kind of thing. Yeah. I don't know. I will say
we're gonna hardly have any money. Those other guys would be like 31, 32, be like what, 25?
Right? Yeah.
So it is a little different.
I almost feel they want to just clear it. They want to clear the entire roster by then or something like that. But also I want to say that I think a lot of the delays is I think it's just Lacob doing what he can't help himself to do, which is act like a venture capitalist, take a negotiation as far as it can, see if you blink. But I think JK taking the qualifying offer would be a failure on Lacob's part. So therefore, I think if Kuminga can keep going on the staring contest, maybe it comes down to the point where they're at the table and Kuminga signs the document and Lacob reaches over and rips it up and go, okay, you win. I kind of leaning towards that. But I think we'll give in at the last moment. But
from what I understand, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. The base year of your last contract affects how your next contract starts. Yeah, so the fact that he'll have only a $6 or $7 million offer will limit how much upside he won't be able to get $30 million to start off that deal. So my counter argument, if I'm Lacob, is, hey, I'm giving you 21. That's going to allow you to, in your next contract, to get 30, 35, 40 million if you're really that good. So that would be my counter argument. Like I said, I think Aaron Turner, the agent of Kuminga, is a little bit talking numbers that were an old market. And I also think the Warriors, they could give him, if they're really committed to him, give him 4 or 5 years. And I don't think there's too much downside. Now, The interesting thing is that they're going to start negotiating Pod's contract coming up, and that's what Tim Kawakami and Thompson said in their last podcast. And that's going to have an effect too on, are they going to offer more than what they give Kuminga? Are they like, there's another contract, and that's the next big contract for the Warriors.
Absolutely.
Wait, let me go straight here. If JK takes the qualifying offer, and let's say there are 5 teams with cap space, he can still get offered something, whatever they want to pay him, right?
Well, there's limitations, right? Like there's max money. So he can't get, and that's why it's based off his base year. So the max that he could get is going to be different at 20 million than if it's at 7 million.
Even as a unrestricted free agent going to a team with all the cap space in the world.
I believe so. And that's why like Devin Booker can get 75 million per year because his last contract was a lot higher, while most other superstars can't.
Well, then,
and if he takes a qualifying offer, Kuminga, he'll lose his bird rights too. So all he can get is cap space. Yeah.
And I do think that the offer that the Warriors gave Kuminga this last time was fair, and that's probably the one they should have started with. I don't know if saying that it was a team option was great. I don't also agree that it should be a player option. Neither side. I think it just should be a contract or a mutual player and team option. Either can get out of it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Jake Fisher was saying just do it 2 years, no options. So yeah, it's along those lines. But that's pretty cool that you said. Say that one more time on the option part.
On the option one, like I would do if they should do mutual, like either one can get out of it if they want on year 3. If it's such a big deal,
love it.
Warriors can get out of it and Kuminga can get out of it.
Yeah, we should actually splice this part out because the summit will be later. Splice this part out and release it. But I guess one thing Aaron Turner could do is talking about the base year and how much you can get. Then maybe let's say he takes the qualifying offer, and so then next summer he's unrestricted. Then what would he do? Sign a 1+1 so that then the next base year will go up after that the next summer?
Yeah, and what team's going to give him? I think most teams, if the other teams are going to want multi-year contract, they're not going to want a 1+1. If they're giving him the money that Kuminga wants and the role that he says that he wants, then they're already committed to him. It's a long-term deal. He's not a 31-year-old or 29 or a 35-year-old. They're going to want him for 4 or 5 years and benefit from what I was talking about earlier about how the cap gets higher and that value of that contract will be lower as he gets older.
Right. The longer you wait to sign him, the more expensive he'll be overall, basically.
So,
so I guess my real question is just basically I should just text Yossi Goslin after this and just make sure about all this stuff because he's the CBA guy. If AK takes the QO, what is the absolute maximum contract that he can get next summer from another team?
And that I think on another team, they're not going to give. It's 1 less year, but I don't know what the salary is. So you're going to have to ask him.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it might have to do with max salary space, but there is only a certain percentage of the salary cap. I think that a player and that's higher, the more you accomplish, I guess.
Because if Jake, just put it this way, if JK can still from the rules make 22 plus million from as an unrestricted free agent next summer, then I think the qualifying offer still makes sense for him to take just as a frustrated young player who's gotten DNPs here and there over 4 years and just wants to kind of blossom somewhere else.
If I were his agent, I would not suggest giving up your bird rights to test the salary cap space in the modern NBA for a player who their own team doesn't want to sign him. And if he gets traded to another team, they don't have his bird rights. If he gets traded to a team that has cap space, I guess whatever, but they're not going to be a very good team. If he gets traded to a contender, they can't keep him.
Yeah, you're right.
It's a little risky.
Always got to go back and
like I said, I don't think there's going to be that many teams that are going to have salary that are going to not have the issues that they had this year. I think there's going to be more teams, and he's going to be unrestricted, so that helps both. It helps, but I still think that they're going to, in a way, they're going to need the Warriors to want to facilitate a trade. For the most likelihood, like for example, the Suns don't have salary cap space. He wants to go to. They're going to have to make a trade with the Warriors. So
I'm gonna back off my thing where Lacob is gonna. Yeah, it's still a definition of a stalemate.
It's Aaron Turner
not a bad deal.
All right, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I don't think it's a horrible deal right now from Kuminga's perspective.
Yeah.
I understand that he doesn't really want to be here, understandably, but it's like going from the initial offer that was a shitty offer that the Warriors gave him. This isn't a bad deal per se.
What
I
is
was
it
just
again?
going to ask.
What's the latest?
Well, it's 2 years fully guaranteed, like
Mhm.
in the four, and then partially guaranteed for a third year in the 70 million range. And what Aaron Turner has said, you make that a player option, then yes, we'll do it. But we're not going to, and it's a team option. And like I said, let's just make it mutual and call it a day.
Didn't they say they wanted the team? They said they'd sign the team option too for an extra 10 mil a year, I think.
Right.
Yeah. But isn't Aaron Turner, right? Isn't he the guy who negotiated Victor Oladipo's big contract? And they kind of, I can't quite remember the specifics, but they kind of played hardball with the Pacers, I think it was, right?
Dean, you're really good at explaining bird rights. So explain the thing one last time, just so it's we have that.
Oh, it's bird rights is simply, we had Kevin Durant and we were way into the tax and had no extra money lying around. We still were allowed to sign Steph Curry to the largest contract in the NBA. It allows you to keep players that you drafted without having to use an exception like vet minimum, taxpayer, or non-taxpayer. You're just allowed to, you have the rights to keep offering these players large contracts because you drafted them or have had them on your team forever.
How would JK lose his bird rights?
Yeah, I think if you get traded with only 1 year left on your deal, the NBA doesn't want that constantly happening. The player going into a contract year and the team just gets rid of him. So I think you lose your bird rights, which gives you that implicit no trade clause that we were talking about with that Keith Smith article that we read on the live a while back.
Yeah.
But basically it's like, you know, if I'm not going to sign here or they don't have cap space, like you can't really trade him. So I think it's implicit. Now, I'm not sure if there's a legal side to the no trade clause thing, but there's basically, it's very, very difficult to move that contract.
Yeah. So then at the end of the summer, then he's an unrestricted free agent. Where does bird rights come in on that?
You would have to stay with the team for years. I think you have to be with the team for like 3 years or something if they don't draft you. Yeah.
Okay. All right, then.
It's super risky giving that. Talk about guys betting on themselves. They generally don't bet away their own.
So why did Cam Thomas do it?
I don't know the Cam Thomas story as well as Kuminga's. Although, you know, my guess is that he was not really getting offered anywhere near $25 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
And so for him, it was more just like, well,
yeah,
we're talking about mid-level exception level money. So you don't need bird rights for that.
Gotcha.
That's just
okay. So I got something slightly wrong. It doesn't matter if he takes the qualifying offer or not in terms of how much money he'll get in the future. What does matter is if he re-signs with the Warriors, he can make up to 8% more annually.
Mm-hmm.
If he re-signs with another team, he can only make 5% more annually.
Yeah. Okay.
Which has to do with the bird rights. So that is the big difference between the two. So again, he'll still most likely there's still a chance that even if he's an unrestricted free agent, that he may want to do a sign and trade instead for financial reasons.
Yeah.
Right.
And they've said they don't want to do one.
What Tim Kawakami and Thompson have said is that the Warriors really want to keep that $25 million salary slot open.
Of course. Yeah.
So, for example, if Giannis is available, they wouldn't have anything to trade for Giannis unless it was Draymond or Jimmy.
Right.
They wouldn't be able to put the salaries together. So that slot is really important. And that's some leverage that Aaron Turner has.
And then why not just give him the player option in that case?
Yeah, I don't know. Why not give him 5 years? Because whoever's trading want him for a little bit. I have that part out, and maybe it has to do with pods.
Oh, right, yeah.
You know, because that his contract is coming up. That hasn't been mentioned too much, and maybe they can't afford, and they probably can't afford 225 million long-term contracts if they think that Jimmy and Steph are going to sign again. Because there's entirely possible that Steph wants to keep playing, and we know that Jimmy will play as long as he can, and we know that Draymond will play as long as he can. So that might be part of it too. I think Draymond probably his contract will be less. I think his contract will probably be less than what it is now. Steph probably not.
Yeah,
Steph,
he might take a haircut.
I don't know. He already did at the beginning of his career, so I don't know if he'll take it at any point. And
but he does want to have the best roster possible, and then then.
But he's been the highest paid player in the NBA salary wise for a few years now. So
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know if he's going to take less.
Really? I think he would, but I don't know.
It's
We'll
the
see.
Tim
What's
Duncan
his-
thing, isn't it?
Yeah. What's his
And
incentive?
hopefully not the
though?
Kawhi Leonard.
His
Oh,
incentive
to open up cap space to get
Yeah.
Giannis. Yeah.
But he already has 4 rings.
It's not 5.
Yeah. And his argument could be like, I'm the one that got Chase Center built. I'm the Warriors.
But he's
Oh,
not
we
like
understand that, and we understand that from the ownership group. Once you retire, sure.
You can't do the Kawhi thing.
No, we're not talking
those
about
days
that.
are always
We're not
over.
paying. We're not paying him while he's playing from that. Know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just, you're always welcome after you tie him up. You know,
Yeah.
why not? I mean, Michael Jordan, totally legal.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
You guys wanted to talk about draft stuff?
Yeah.